everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Tax Tips channel. My name is Cherry Chan, a chartered professional accountant located in Oakville, Ontario, Canada. And I'm on a mission to become Google Map for hardworking Canadians seeking financial freedom. Today, I have a very special guest for all of you. Today, we have Carina Guzman, the land development queen from Ottawa, all the way from Ottawa, on our little YouTube show to share with you all her latest adventure and all her past adventure too. It is very exciting. But before I get her on, make sure you give us a thumbs up if you find our video useful, and hit the subscribe button if you like our video, and share that with your friends as well. Now, welcome, Carina.
Thank you, Sherry.
So tell us a little bit about Land Development Queen. Why did this nickname come? How did this nickname come
Oh my
around?
gosh, it's like purely fun and just out of nowhere, honestly. It's just, so I'm a land developer here in Ottawa.
Sure.
I've been doing it for a while on my own. And I just began teaching it and like doing my own courses during COVID, plainly because people asked for it and wanted to learn about it and wanted the help. So a lot of people had reached out. And then through that, I got known more, right? Because then I started teaching it. And so people started getting to know me more. And then I got invited to some events, and it just happened that, you know, you go to these events and then you take a picture with someone, and somebody tagged on Instagram, hashtag land development queen, and everybody else started hashtagging my pictures with them with that same. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll take it.
I guess that is your new nickname. I'm sure there's a lot of experience that's earned you that particular nickname, right?
I think so.
What have you done?
Yeah. I think I've done a lot. So I've done pretty much everything in the land development space. But I think it's not that I've done a lot. I think it's that I'm open to sharing. Because in the land development space, there really isn't much education around it.
Yes.
You know, a lot of real estate strategies have all kinds of programs and events that you can go to and learning opportunities, but in land development, not so much. And so it just happened that I kind of came in at the right time, started showing people, talking about it, giving some insights into the whole world of land development. And that's, I think, what has really opened up a lot of people to the possibilities of it. And I don't think it's, and also because I'm a woman too,
Yes.
that's a little bit of a niche, right, in itself.
Yes.
Because as we talked before, just before starting this recording, there's a lot of fields that are very male-oriented, and they still are. We're changing that a little bit now, but it still is very heavy in male. So there's like that wham and wham, talking about it and bringing it out to the norm, but then also being a woman bringing it out as well. So that's interesting.
So did you start with like really focusing on land development at the very beginning? Is that how you started?
No.
How did you start?
I just started like simple buy and hold, you know, like everybody does, right? I was just buying like townhomes with my dad. So I think I was 23 years old when I bought my first one.
You started young.
Really young, because my dad was always into real estate too, back home. And I kind of like learned it from him and stuff. And then when I got my first job, I was like, I want to get my first house. He helped me co-sign, and then we did that again. So it just kind of happened like that. And the only reason why I got into land development is because I had done the buy and hold for some time. And then I was like, what's next? Like, there's got to be something else. And I feel like I'm probably like a lazy person, I think, because I started learning about real estate, and I was like, what else is new? And everything seemed like a lot of work, like burying properties and flipping houses, like HGTV, and I was like, I just can't see myself doing that, because I had like my little boys, and you know, I'm like, I want to spend more time with my family, not less, you know. So for me, that didn't excite me. Like I was like, I just see it like quitting my job for another job, you know, so I couldn't equate it to my lifestyle. But I learned about the transit and how the city of Ottawa wanted intensification. And I was like, okay, this sparked my interest. And I thought, let me ask other people and see if they've, if they have an interest in it. Nobody talked about it. Nobody knew about it. Even other builders that I was talking to didn't really know much about it. And I was like, why not? What's going on when the city's putting out maps? And so I was like, okay, maybe this is an opportunity. And then I convinced my husband to do it and buy our first property around Transit. And then that's what we did. That's kind of, so I really just went from buy and hold to land development.
So that wasn't the whole story, right? Like you just buy at a place that will have transit in a few years, right? So you buy
Yes.
lots, essentially a couple of houses. Is that how you started near
Well,
there?
we actually just started with one. It was just one. The transit was already there, so
okay.
the station itself was there, but it was a bus station, and so the city is bringing in the light rail into the station.
Yeah.
So it's both, like you said. It could be like a non-existing, but you know it's coming, or it's there, but it's being transformed, right? So we just happened to buy find a property that was double lot, really good size, and like right there to the train station.
So then did you start building then immediately?
No.
What happened?
I actually, it was a little house, so we rented it, so we knew that. And then I started working with the architects and figuring out what I could do with it. I went to talk to the city and figured out, okay, we can do 12 units. So we started doing because it had the right zoning already. I didn't mention that, but it had the right zoning already for multifamily. And then we ended up getting the permits, done and everything. And I was talking to as many people as I could. That was one thing. Like I was like, let me just put it out there and see if my initial thought was actually to find a builder partner to build it with me.
Yep.
Because building construction seemed like really scary at the time.
Yeah.
Because I've never done it before.
Yeah.
So that was my intention, was just to find the right partner. In my mind, I had to find a partner. But what ended up happening is through those conversations, I found a builder and he was like, well, what are you gonna do with it? And I'm like, well, I'm open to partnering, I'm open to this. He's like, well, how about if I just buy it from you? And I was like, I didn't even know that was a possibility. And I kind of liked it because I was like, I don't have to do the construction part, because that's the part that scared me the most, not the development side, the construction. And so when we started working out numbers, I'm like, I can just make $300,000 and sell it to you right now. And at that time, for me, it was like the most money I would have ever made, right? At that time, like working a government job, making a year, making 300,000 in a year was a lot more.
Yep.
And it opened up my mind to, I could replicate it. I could do it over again. And again, remember the lazy me, right? I was like, this is like paper.
Yeah.
So then I started saying, I don't flip houses, I flip paper.
Wow, that's impressive. That's
fun.
awesome. And then what happened next? And then I heard the story of like buying gigantic piece of vacant land.
Yes. So from there, I've figured, where else can I replicate it? So I started looking around, and I found that property that was like, it was basically a triple lot, corner property in a brand new subdivision area. And I think I mentioned to you the story about the seller having a little lawn sign saying for sale by owner. And then I went to meet him as an old man, and he was like, I don't want to sell to the big builder developer. And anyway, so he ended up selling it to me, gave me a VTB without me actually knowing it was a VTB. I didn't even know what a VTB was back then. Like that's how much. But he was like, I can give you financing and help you start your project. So that's what I did. And then that property ended up being 3 separate lots. And then from those 3 separate lots, I met a new builder who bought them from me as well. So in that one, I made another 300,000 in 6 months.
So you bought it off this guy, this gentleman who was financing your whole operation for you.
Yeah.
And then in the meantime, you went to the city and subdivided a lot into 3 different lots. and then get it ready to be developed. And then you
Exactly.
met another developer, and that developer just purchased these 3 lots off you. You actually did most of the paperwork up front and didn't do a lot, but then you're using other people's money. Beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I left the construction part to someone else again.
Yeah.
Which to me was like a perfect blend, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, that's when I realized, when I started talking to him about, you know, you have these clients that you build for, and he's like, yeah. So I said, do you get permits for them too? And he's like, no, they have to hire their own people to do that. I just take the plans and I build them. And I was like, oh, this could be an opportunity for me to do this for others and learn. It's almost like getting paid to go to school,
Yeah.
right? So that's when I got that idea. And I ended up opening like a brick and mortar, like actually boutique shop. So we had like architects, we had engineers working there. We took on clients, brought them in, designed their homes. And then my job was just to get the permits approved and get them through, and then pass them on to the builder for the clients. That's what I did for 2 or 3 years.
I can't believe that's how you evolve from like a government job or a new mom all the way to all of these. That's amazing.
Yeah, like I was like still my second son was like a baby, right? And so I was just bringing him on board with me, you know, taking him in his little basket and bringing him there and just meeting the architects and stuff and just doing it, you know, because I knew that I was really unhappy with the day job that I had. And I was like, I need to figure it out. I need to make a big change. And it just seemed like the right fit to do it.
So what happened after that?
After that, so we did that boutique shop for a while. And then after a while, you know, like you want to go to the next step, right? Because we were focusing on a lot of custom homes and that sort of thing. And I ended up moving out of that space, and I wanted to move into more like complex land development deals, multifamily, subdivisions. That was always my vision, is to go a little bit bigger. We still did a lot of transit, so we moved on to more larger transit developments. So that's, for a while, I was known mostly for transit developments. So like some mid-rise, low-rise and mid-rise, that was my thing, anywhere between 6 to 9 stories. And
So
a lot
did
of
you
them,
did you do the development yourself? Like you did the development. Did you do the construction yourself too?
No,
None of them.
no.
So you
none
just
of them.
really buy the right lot
Yeah,
and then develop it to the point that it's permit ready and you sell it to the developer.
exactly.
Oh,
So I
wow.
really created it like a funnel almost, right? Because I was very good at seeing the vision, figuring out like which properties were the best designated for intensification. I had my whole team, right? So architects, engineers, urban planners, people that I work with. But then I also was very well connected with the builders, like kind of platform. So I can have a really good funnel between the projects that I'm running and the builders, so that they have a constant influx of projects moving forward for themselves, right? And keeping their businesses going. So I still now, to this day, as I have projects running, I get together with my builder network and I tell them, this is what's coming up in a year, this is what's coming up in 2 years, or we're doing this. Would you be interested in this kind of area? We're looking to do that. And I can pre-sell almost a subdivision or a transit-oriented development or whatever it is by connecting the two pieces together.
Oh my God, you're really the land development queen. You don't even build. I can't even call you the builder at all.
No, I don't do we did a lot, I did a lot of the builds for the clients. Like I would go and enjoy it and the whole process and seeing it all go from paper and that. Like I did all of that and I enjoyed it. But after a while, you know, you kind of like, there's some parts of the business that you just love and you focus on those things. And I'm really big on focusing on the things that I love to do, my passion, and then leaving other things that I'm not so passionate about to other people. So I really feel delegation is like key.
Yep.
And staying within the space that makes you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like it.
I feel like there's a theme across all the interviewees that I have today.
Really?
Yeah, among all the women, I'm like really intentional in terms of protecting my space and my time because this is my priority. So that's why I'm choosing what I'm choosing to invest in so that I can have a balanced life.
I think so, because I feel like, well, you know, women, we have special roles, right? Like with the family. I remember, I think a lot of your audience will kind of agree with me on this, is that as you know, finish university and you want to get your career going, you really work hard to work up the ladder. And I did that. All of us women, we do that. Men too, of course. But at some point, we always have to leave it if you want children, right? And that's the thing. It's always this constant battle within us, because it's like, I've worked so hard to get myself up here, but now I have to also step back, you know, take the year or two to have my children or whatever it is that you're going to take off. And when you come back, it's almost like restarting over again. You have to prove yourself again. So when you're young and in your 20s and 30s, you have this constant feeling like, I have to prove myself. But at some point later on in your 30s, later 30s, I think we all get to a point where it's like, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. I want to make myself happy and be there for my kids. Why can't I have that balance? Why can't I have the great career, the success, and still have children and have a family? Why not? Right? I think that comes with that whole like maturity aspect of it.
Absolutely.
Where you don't have to prove to anyone anything anymore. And I think being here as your guest, I'm assuming a lot of your other guests are like me, and we're probably like that, right? We're just at that age where you're like, no, I want to have my cake and eat it too.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. So then, like, now that you're kind of the expert in transit development in Ottawa, I know you've moved on to also bigger project. That's no longer just transit focused. What other projects are you doing these days?
So one of the big things that I decided when I started coaching and teaching is I don't want to compete with my students, right? So that was something, and most of the students come in and do some infill type of developments or transit-oriented, which is what I taught a lot when I first began, and I still do. And so I wanted to move into more bringing value to people's lives. And so for me, that meant like subdivisions and moving more into community building. So I really started loving the aspect of being able to create something purely from scratch, an entire development community, seeing how can we devise a plan that looks different than your standard type of subdivision that we're so used to seeing, right? So that's what I did, is just focusing on what can I do here to bring value to other people. I think that's a big part of like your success too, and my success is because we bring a lot of value to people.
And
so
like how you say
on that.
your success and my success, I think I'm having like I myself have a hard time owning up to that term at all.
Really?
Altogether, yeah.
Wow.
I
I'm
don't
surprised.
really call that a success, and I'm still calling myself a work in progress always.
Well, we are. We're always a work in progress.
Yeah.
But you're a success in your own right, because what you do has led you to become the expert in your field, and there's no ifs or buts about it. Everybody knows. So if I was to ever ask, like, who would be the accountant that I should speak to build a real estate business, everybody says Cherry Chan. So it's, you know, it is that.
Yes, but anyway, that's probably my personal limitation, limit belief. Like, believe it or not, like we all suffer from the same thing at some point in our lives. Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disrupt you. Continue on.
Yeah, so so that was one of the goals that I had, you know, is to move more into subdivisions and creating communities. And I ended up finding one, what was it? It was, my first one was also in COVID. We did a lot of moves in COVID. Like, I feel like, I don't know about you, but COVID just opened up so much opportunities, I find.
Yeah.
So we did our very first acquisition for a subdivision in Calabogie, Ontario, which is, it's an hour away from Ottawa towards Toronto. It would be like a a typical, like, normally in this area would be, it's a rural kind of area, so you would normally see a typical cottage subdivision in these locations.
Yeah.
But the reason why I loved it so much, and I knew of Calabogie way back years ago, is because this one spot, I akin it very closely to like a little mini Mont Tremblant. If anybody knows like Quebec and Mont Tremblant, it's like that perfect blend of all of these fun things in one small space. You've got the ski hill,
Yep.
Calabogie ski hill, you've got the racetrack,
Yep.
you've got the golf courses, you've got the trailing, the AV touring, the KP trail, the beach. You've got just so much of outdoorsy things and winter and summer that everybody enjoys. And so it's one of these like little places when you go to Calabogie, it's like everybody's like having fun all the time. So I loved it because I'm like, there's not many of these types of locations. And so when I it was a wholesaler that brought the deal to me, and I love wholesalers. Like I work very closely with wholesalers. I like realtors too, by the way. Like realtors bring me stuff too, but the last few projects have been like, I would say actually 98% of my projects are wholesalers.
I see why you like wholesalers better.
Yeah. So this one, it was like that, and we bought it. I knew I did all the due diligence. We do all those checks. And the funny part, Cherry, was that this project, I guess it had been on the market for some time, like a year, before this wholesaler even brought it to me. And so when I started talking to people about it, I'm like, what do you think? I have this property under contract. What am I missing here? Because there is something about it that I absolutely love, but what's going on? Like I always ask my team and my network, like, to see any kind of blind spots that I don't see. And the biggest question for me that people were asking me was like, if it's so good, I mean, I understand everything looks good, but if it was so good, why didn't it sell already? You know, that's the biggest question that most people ask. When the property's sitting there for so long on the market, the first question people ask is, what's wrong with it, right? There must be something wrong with
Yes.
it. So that's what happened, and I was like, I don't know. All I see is like everything checks out, everything's great. No idea why it's been on the market forever. But as soon as I closed on it, you know what ended up happening? Everybody called and was like, oh, that was a no-brainer. I totally would have bought that property. And I'm like, of course you're gonna say that now,
Yeah.
after the fact.
Yeah. How big is the property? It's a piece of vacant land.
It's not vacant, actually.
Oh, right.
It's a 93-acre property.
Yep.
And it's the last piece before you hit Crown Land. So that's perfect because there's nothing going to ever be built right after that.
Yep.
But it did come with a house, which I didn't quite realize, actually, to be honest, until we closed on it. And then we walked the property. And I was like, oh, my God, there's a cute house here. It's old, like outdated, but it's cute, and it has a pool. It's got what I coined the pool house because it's attached to the pool, and it's got this huge 26 square foot barn on it. Like brand new barn, like absolutely beautiful. And as soon as I walked in, because when you drive in, it's this 700-foot driveway, and it has a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
It's lined with these gorgeous trees. You feel like it's an estate. So when you come in, and I see this big barn and this big estate feeling, I was like, this is like HGTV wedding. It's like this perfect, beautiful place where I could see people getting married and having, or bachelorette parties or conferences or that sort of thing. And I brought some event planners, and everybody was like, this is gorgeous. So we ended up renovating it, putting a good $60,000 or $70,000 to renovate it. And now we run it as an Airbnb / events. So it could be rented for both types of events.
So it's in operation right now.
Yeah.
And it's being rented.
And it's being rented.
Oh, wow.
And we have a VTB on the property. You know, me and VTBs. I love the VTBs.
Intimate relationship with VTB.
I love VTBs. I think any developer would say, like,
Yeah.
VTB is our favorite thing. So it covers itself, because that's one thing I teach, right, is ideally you want to buy a property that has development potential, but ideally has something that generates revenue. Because I don't want to be out of pocket every month. You're already spending a lot of money on the soft costs, right? Like architecture, engineering, and permits and applications, all that kind of stuff. It's very expensive already. And if you're also out on a monthly basis on mortgage and all that, it's harder, right? So if you can find a property that has development potential, but has something there to generate some income and cover your monthly expenses, I think that's the best way to mitigate and de-risk everything as possible. But it also secures your investors' money, right? There's a property there. You're going to buy it for what it is. Don't overpay just because it has development potential, which I find a lot of people do, right? Because it's like you get excited and like, yeah, but it has the potential. But it's like, yeah, but if you're going to use OPM, you want to make sure you don't overpay and you maintain the property. If you renovate it, even better, because the investor's money is secured on that asset. And at least you're securing them with what is there. And if anything should go wrong, which you mitigate as much as possible or pivot, there's still a property there, right? And it's securing their money there. So that's the ideal situation for anybody looking to get into development.
So like this property is about 93 acre.
Yes.
Yes. So I mean the house may take up how much? Maybe not even half an acre.
Yeah, it's very small. I think we ended up. It ends up being about 3.5, 4 acres, only because it's taking also the big driveway. And I want to keep it. So right now we're devising the plan for the subdivision itself, which sits on the rest of the land, right? It's going to be a really beautiful development. The township is very excited about it. So far, so good. And I already have a buyer for the subdivision part.
Oh my God, so you're dividing that. You're really, again, doing paper flipping.
Yes.
So you're only going to bring it to the
Approval.
plan. Yeah,
Yes.
approval.
Exactly.
And then you're giving it to the builder.
Yeah.
Huh.
And they take care of it. And part of my plan is, I'm severing the house and the little estate part of it, keep it for myself. And then I get to make the sale of the subdivision, make profit out of that, but also get to keep the house. See, have your cake and eat it too.
I can see a theme here, common theme. So like, how long would this process be?
The subdivision?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's longer, for sure. We're already in year 2.
Yep.
So we're in year 2 of this property, mainly because it takes a lot of time to do the studies. There's a lot of work that has to happen, biology work, all these hydrological studies that have to be done. And one of the biggest, I guess, would be the design of the actual subdivision. So getting through the approvals for the road network and how everything's going to be split up and setbacks and everything that has to happen to make it a livable subdivision and functioning subdivision is key. So getting the right team. There's some projects that we have even just devising the proper team sometimes takes us 6 to 7 months to put together.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like from what I hear, you're taking investors' money to invest as well. So, but then you also have the money from the seller. So, which is awesome. So how many months are you budgeting for? Because in the meantime, even with assuming that you don't have any interest costs on the seller's vendor take back mortgage, there's still the investors trying to ask for money at a certain point, or like not willing to put in more money. So how many months, how long a duration are you budgeting for initially when you do the fundraising part?
So this is interesting. So this one in particular, we didn't have investors involved because the seller gave us 80% VTB on the property. And we just closed with our own funds on it.
Oh, that's amazing.
So the actual subdivision work, it's just on our own funds as well, because we've done many projects now at this point. So, and because it was my very first subdivision, I really feel like it's a good way to learn by using your own money, using your own cash, taking your time, and doing your own way.
Yeah.
Like
and
even
earning all the profit. So have your cake and eat it too. I
That's
see the
right,
common theme.
exactly, right? So even our other transit developments, we didn't start using other people's money. You know, we started just using our own resources, our own money, and then only in around COVID time is when I started using like OPM, other people's money. Unless it was like a VTB kind of thing. That's using the sellers, you know, that's
also
a different.
called OPM though, but yeah.
True, I
Yeah.
guess you're right. Yeah, you're right.
But then you can
Never
also
thought of it
define
that
the
way.
bank as OPM. So
Yeah,
everything
that's
is
right.
OPM except
Everything
your own
could
money.
be. Exactly. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So yeah, I guess in that respect, it would be considered. But so because this one was our very first, we were very big on like using our own funds as much as possible. But the new one, we have a new subdivision that we're working on.
Can't keep up.
I know.
Yeah.
There's just so much fun. Like, so this one is Pembroke, Ontario. It's a little bit more out. It's 2 hours from Ottawa, closer to Toronto. It's another one of those satellite kind of cities that just exploding just because of COVID, right? Again, COVID, I feel like did some interesting stuff, but people started going outside of Ottawa and the core because it got so expensive, right? We're seeing that everywhere in a lot of different markets. So we're acquiring this one right now. And the project itself is actually a 6-year project, you know, so it's a long project. But in order to de-risk it and in order to make it make sense for our investors, because I find a lot of people want more of a shorter turnaround time of their funds, right? Most people do not want like lengthy, 5 to 10 years, at least not my pool of investors. So what we're doing in this one, for example, is we're doing 3 phases of the project. And the first phase is purely a severances kind of.
How big is this development?
This one is 186 acre property.
Double of your first one.
Double of the first one. And there's a portion of it that is right at the lot line where all the services are available. So services meaning water and sewer. And also that's where the township wants us to build first. So we're going to do that as a phase 1. But again, remember I have my network of builders and developers. So I started calling everybody and saying, I have this property under contract. Would you be interested or would your company be interested? And if you are, to what extent, what would you be looking to do? So I get a list essentially saying I need 1 acre for 30-unit apartment building. I need 2 acres for this kind of building. I need 1 acre each of retail. I need 6 acres for stacked towns. So I start taking almost like a menu list of what would they want. And I create that. So now we devise a plan where we're going to sever the lots, or blocks, I should say. They're blocks that are going to be allocated to my builders, who are then going to buy them. So the first exercise is just the severances. We're de-risking the project, right, to our investors. And so within 15 months or so, I'm saying to my investors 24 months. It's probably going to be a lot quicker than that. But we're going to sever the blocks, sell them to my builder friends. Everybody gets their money back, plus a return on their investment. Yes. So it's within a 2-year time frame still, without overcomplicating it and having the buyer already up front. And that's how you can de-risk a lot of this kind of deal. And then later on, we still have the last 2 more phases of the project. And that's definitely going to take a lot more time and a lot of effort and going through the same thing that we're doing in Calabogie, the studies and the everything, right? And so those ones I have other developers, other builders that would want to buy out the subdivision. And I'm still giving a benefit to all of my investors. So even though they get paid out in 2 years, all their capital, all their return, they still will get a cut out of phase 2 and phase 3 just for joining us and being part of the journey and being part of everything that we do. So it's kind of like that recurring, profit margin for them just just to say thank you and being part of everything that we're doing. So that's what we're doing, but that's going to be a 6-year time frame.
Wow. Oh my God. This is very interesting conversation that we're having. I like your model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing I love about development is that everything is always different. There's never the same. No project is ever the same. But also, you can get creative. You can figure out what can you do with this property and how can I devise a plan to make it work for everybody, for us. Everybody gets paid very well. We make a profit. And we're adding to the township. We're adding a lot of value. We're bringing in a lot of elements to this development to add value to the people who will live there. It's going to change the entire landscape of Pembroke. So it's cool. Like, it's really, really exciting. It's just like blank canvas, and you get to do it however you want.
So I asked previous guests that about fear. Do you have any fear?
A lot.
Fear of failure. It doesn't show, just so you know. So that's the reason why I have to ask, because you look very confident. And I mean, I'm pretty sure I don't show a lot of the fearful side of me as well. So do you have a moment that, hey, like, is it going to work? Or do you have the holy S?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Like this project that I just mentioned to you, when I first put it under contract, I was like, what? This is scary. Like, I was so fearful. Because it like, you see how it doubles from one project to the next.
And you haven't finished the first one yet.
Exactly, right? So it's like, holy geez, it is definitely a fear. It gets me feeling like, am I taking on too much? Am I overzealous about what I'm doing? Do I have investors that are going to see the vision just the way that I see it? What are the downfalls? What could happen? What could go wrong, right? Like, there's so many fear ideas or thoughts that come in our head, right? Like, can I really do this? Like, thinking about building a whole community, like, we're talking singles, stacked towns, multifamily, some retail, potentially a sports dome complex that we're going to put in there, a tiny home community. I want to create a beach. There's a whole beach aspect to it. It is like a whole entire
city on its own.
City.
City, yeah.
Yes. So it's like, am I really going to do this or what? But then I always think, if I don't do it, then somebody else is going to do it. And why not me? Because I feel like I could really devise like a really nice plan for this area. And I really generally have a passion for it. So I see things through, right? So I don't know, at some point, I think my excitement somehow makes me just keep pushing through.
Yeah.
Even though I'm like extremely scared and fearful. I don't know, there's that aspect of it. But I think also, and I think you'll agree with this, is your team, right? Like, my team gives me a lot of confidence because they're really good. They really know their stuff, and they love the visions that I have and the ideas, and they'll just work so hard at making it happen, you know, and that's why I said sometimes putting the team together can take months, right? Because we use different people for different things.
Yep.
And especially as the projects get more complex, you have to find another person that fits that role better or great and can take you to the next level. Yeah. So that's why I'm really big on finding the right people and then working with them to make them become their best version so that they're excited of doing that one thing and they can really excel at that one thing. Like, building people up is so important. So we take our time. We take our time in devising the proper team to make it happen. It's a big difference when you just take somebody from, I guess, for the lack of a better word, like just trusting, right? But then there's a difference when you take your time and you know a person is the right person, the right fit for that.
Yeah.
You know? So that's literally what can take you from from being here to the next level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
So that gives me confidence, a lot of it. And it helps with that fear.
How, like, I don't know how you do this. How do you balance all these work with family life? You have 2 young children, 2 young boys. And what kind of legacy do you want to leave to these 2 boys?
Yeah, that's such a struggle, honestly, Sherry. Like I think any mom, with any parent, I shouldn't just say mom, because men too, I'm sure they go through this too. It's such a struggle to balance. So when people ask me that question, honestly, I don't have a balance. Like I am the most obsessive person. Like I do have this kind of obsessive behavior, I guess, in a way. Like when I get something in my head, I get obsessed about it. It's crazy, Sherry. I don't even know how to explain it to you.
Yeah.
I dream about it. I think about it. I dream all day, and I come up with ideas and solutions, and it literally ingrains all of me. So it's great because I'm very creative and have a big drive for stuff, but at the same time, it's the worst thing. As a partner, it's like my husband would be like, hello, did you hear me? Hello. And I'm like, oh, sorry, what did you say? Like, I'm in la la land half of the time. And then for children, right, it's worse as well, because it's like they need your time and attention. So it's a yin and a yang. It's like there's no real balance, I don't feel like. So I don't have a right answer, except that my husband is a big part of it. It's choosing the right partner. I think it's, again, back to team, I guess, in a way, but choosing the right partner is big. It's important, because I don't think I could do this without him. There's no way. I know it for sure. There's apps, like opening that brick and mortar kind of business that I had. I was there for 12 hours sometimes. I was there at like 5 a.m., like working through the entire night to get something done. It's impossible to have done this without him taking over a lot of that parent role, right? So it's kind of like that. But when I was in my government job, he was traveling the world, traveling everywhere. And we had 2 little babies. And I was like the same. I was taking on that parent role full time while he was out traveling. So we always kind of laugh, because they're like, we kind of switched, you know? It's like now I'm the one going and doing stuff. So I started definitely like growing my team. So that has helped a lot. I found 2 project managers that now work for me. They take on a lot of the day-to-day stuff that I normally would used to do. Having an assistant, having people that can help you out with certain things, delegating all of those things is key. And trying to stay at the face and the visionary of the company, and moving the company along, and being out here doing this kind of stuff so people know who we are. That's kind of more my role now. Which is great, because I love that, you know, and it's helped me definitely bring a balance, because I wasn't so good at that before, because I was just all about the vision, where I wanted it to go, and, you know, getting there. So getting better at it.
I can totally relate to that, because I'm still going through that phase. I'm like so excited and about like doing the video recording, and I made my plan the whole day, and then I have another day of recording, and I'm so excited about the new business as well, and I'm like all in it. And then the next thing I know is I'm working 12 hours or 14 hours a day, and I forgot about my husband and my kids, and they're like looking at me, what's our plan this week?
When are you coming home, Mommy? What are you doing?
Yeah.
I know. The worst, right, is when in the mornings the kids will ask, are you going to be home when I get back? You know, so it's like, actually, no. You know, so it is this constant. But also, our boys, like, they come everywhere with us, right? I think you do this also with your children, because I've seen your blogs and that, and I love that, because they just see it, and it's become the norm also for them, right? So they're very attuned to it. They talk real estate with us. They're really involved in what we do, and they see like me, and they call me queen too, just because everybody else calls me queen. And
Yep.
but it's like this feeling like they respect that I'm driving this whole thing, and they're always like, I always tell them, I'm like, every morning when we're getting ready, that's one thing I don't skip, is getting up in the morning and making them breakfast and getting their lunches done and all that. And we talk about, okay, what do you have going on today? And mommy has this meeting today, and we're going to do that meeting. So when they come back home from school, then I'll say, guess what happened in this meeting? And then this happened and that happened. So they feel like even though I'm not there, they know why I'm not there, because it's a purpose. There's a reason to it. So I think that helps me more than them, probably, because it makes me feel like at least they know there's a reason, and it's not just me not being there, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carina. I feel like this is such a deep dive into what you have done over the last, 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a little bit of vulnerability out there because of struggle through parenthood. And
Yeah.
I think every single woman out there are struggling with
Every
that.
parent.
Yeah. So thank you so much again for coming on to our YouTube channel. And
Thank you.
I've learned a lot. So just continue to crush it.
Thank you. Thank you
Yes.
so much, Cher, for having me. It's a pleasure being here, and I really appreciate it very much.
Thank you.